It was one of those late spring evenings in Hamburg where the air hangs heavy with the promise of summer, but the North Sea chill clings just a little too long. May 23, 2025, around 6:05 p.m., and the Hauptbahnhof, Hamburg's beating heart of steel and glass, was pulsing with the familiar chaos of a Friday rush. Commuters spilled out from the U-Bahn escalators like ants from a disturbed hill, briefcases swinging, earbuds blasting podcasts about weekend escapes to the Baltic coast. Families dragged roller bags toward the long-distance platforms, kids whining about hunger while parents scrolled for the next McDonald's. Tourists, fresh off a canal cruise, clutched maps and laughed in broken German, mistaking the Elbe's damp breeze for romance. Lena Mahler was there, 28, a graphic designer from Altena, her blonde ponytail frayed from a day of client calls that had dragged into overtime. She leaned against a pillar on Platform 9, the one for the S1 line to Poppenbüttel, scrolling TikTok on her phone. The screen glowed blue against her tired face, feeding her algorithm of cat videos and quick makeup hacks. She didn't notice the woman at first, the one weaving through the crowd like a shadow detached from its owner. Lena's train was delayed by 5 minutes, the digital board flickering that eternal German efficiency tease. Verspätung. 5 minutes. She sighed, adjusted her backpack strap, and thought about the half-empty fridge waiting at home. Her boyfriend, Max, had promised stir-fry, but knowing him, it'd be takeout pizza again. Across the platform, Karl Becker, 52, a burly dockworker from Wilhelmsburg, wiped sweat from his brow with a calloused hand. His shift at the container terminal had ended early for once, a rare mercy after 12 hours of loading crates under the relentless harbor cranes. He clutched a thermos of lukewarm coffee, the kind that tasted like regret, and eyed the platform clock. The RE8 to Stade was due any second, and he dreamed of sinking into his armchair with a beer and the Bundesliga highlights. Karl had 3 kids, 2 in uni, 1 still in school, and Fridays meant family dinner, even if it was just canned goulash and stories about the old man's glory days on the ships. He shifted his weight, boots scuffing the tiled floor, and caught a glimpse of her. The woman in the oversized gray coat, hood pulled low, hands buried deep in her pockets. She moved with purpose, but erratic, like someone who'd forgotten their route mid-step. The station's underbelly hummed beneath them all. The rumble of arriving trains, the metallic screech of brakes, the multilingual chatter blending into white noise. Vending machines beeped for coins. A street musician strummed a battered guitar near the escalators, his case half full of euros from pity tips. Overhead, the vast arched roof trapped echoes, turning whispers into murmurs that bounced off the glass panels. Security cameras blinked red in the corners, silent sentinels fed by a network that would later spit out grainy footage to investigators. But in that moment, no one paid them mind. Hamburg Hauptbahnhof handled 550,000 souls a day. What was one more face in the throng? The woman, let's call her by the name the papers would later etch into infamy, though her real one, Anna Voss, 39, from a nondescript flat in Eimsbüttel, had been discharged from psychiatric care just 24 hours prior. Locked away for months in a sterile ward at the University Medical Center Hamburg-Eppendorf, her file read like a litany of fractures. Severe depression, paranoid delusions, a history of self-harm that had escalated after her mother's death 2 years back. The doctors had signed off on her release with cautious optimism. Meds adjusted, therapy sessions mandated, a follow-up in a week. But optimism is a fragile thing, and Anna's mind was a storm cellar where shadows bred unchecked. She clutched a kitchen knife in her coat pocket, its 8-inch blade wrapped in a dish towel stained with yesterday's tomato sauce. It wasn't a plan born of ideology or grudge. No manifesto, No radical whispers from online forums. Just a void, a howling emptiness that demanded release, and the station. The anonymous hive of lives brushing past one another seemed the perfect canvas. She'd taken the U3 from her neighborhood that afternoon, the subway's sway lulling her into a trance. Staring at her reflection in the window, distorted by passing tunnels, Anna saw not herself but fragments. The nurse who'd dismissed her tears as histrionics. The landlord who'd evicted her cat after one too many noise complaints. The strangers on the street who never met her eyes. By the time she emerged into the Hauptbahnhof's atrium, the knife felt like an extension of her arm, heavy with borrowed purpose. She bypassed the ticket barriers with a stolen pass, her steps quickening toward Platform 9. The crowd thickened here, a bottleneck of evening exodus. A group of Turkish teens horsed around, one juggling a soccer ball. An elderly couple from the Harz Mountains debated which exit led to their hotel. A businessman barked into his AirPods about quarterly projections. Lena glanced up from her phone as the first scream pierced the din. It wasn't a full-throated wail yet, just a sharp yelp, like someone stepping on a Lego in the dark. She turned, expecting a spilled coffee or a bumped elbow. Instead, her eyes locked on the blur. Anna Voss lunging forward, coat flapping open like broken wings, the knife flashing silver under the fluorescent lights. The first victim was a young mother, mid-30s, pushing a stroller with one hand while texting with the other. The blade caught her upper arm as she twisted away instinctively, slicing through denim and flesh in a wet rip. Blood bloomed instant and vivid, soaking her sleeve, and she staggered back, the stroller tipping precariously. Her cry shattered the illusion of normalcy. Hilf! Oh Gott, Hilfe! Panic rippled outward like a stone in a pond. Carl Becker dropped his thermos, the lid clattering across the tiles as he surged forward. Not thinking, just reacting, the way dockworkers muscle through storms. Hey, what the— stop her! He bellowed, his voice a gravelly thunder that cut through the rising murmur. But Anna didn't stop. She pivoted, wild-eyed under the hood, her face a mask of vacant fury, and drove the knife toward the nearest body. One of the Turkish teens, 16-year-old Amir Kaya, who'd frozen in shock, ball forgotten at his feet. The blade grazed his side, tearing his jersey and drawing a line of red that seeped warm and shocking. Amir yelped, clutching his ribs, and bolted backward into his friends, who scattered like startled pigeons. The platform erupted. Feet pounded, bags were abandoned. A child's wail joined the mother's as the stroller overturned, spilling diapers and a sippy cup that rolled underfoot. Lena's heart hammered in her chest, a frantic drumbeat drowning her thoughts. She backed against the pillar, phone slipping from numb fingers to crack on the ground. This isn't real, she whispered to herself. But the metallic tang of blood was already in the air, mixing with the station's usual scent of diesel and pretzels. She saw Anna clearly now. Not a monster from a movie, but a woman. Plain-featured, mousy brown hair escaping the hood, her coat from some discount chain. Yet the knife moved with demonic precision, slashing at a salaryman who'd tripped over his briefcase, opening a gash across his thigh that sprayed arterial red onto the platform edge. Sirens wailed distantly, but in the maelstrom, they sounded worlds away. Carl charged again, grabbing for Anna's arm, his thick fingers closing around her wrist like a vice. "Drop it, you bitch!" he roared, twisting hard. The knife wavered, but she was feral, stronger than her slight frame suggested, fueled by whatever chemical storm raged in her veins. She raked the blade across his forearm, carving a deep furrow that parted muscle and tendon. Carl howled, releasing her with a shove that sent her stumbling into a cluster of commuters. Pain lanced up his arm, hot and blinding, but he didn't fall. Not yet. Adrenaline was a cruel accountant, tallying debts later. Amir's friends had formed a ragged human wall. One boy, Ali, 17, with a fresh buzz cut, grabbing a metal umbrella from a nearby stand and swinging it like a bat. It connected with Anna's shoulder with a dull thud, eliciting a grunt, but she wheeled on him, knife thrusting low. Ali dodged, the tip nicking his jeans, but the elderly couple nearby wasn't so lucky. The husband, Heinrich Lang, 68, a retired teacher with arthritis-knobbed hands, tried to shield his wife, Greta. He stepped in front, arms outstretched like a frail barrier, and the blade plunged into his abdomen, twisting as Anna yanked it free. Blood gushed, dark and viscous, soaking his cardigan. Greta's scream was unearthly, a keening that echoed off the arches. Heinrich! Nein, nein, mein Liebchen. She dropped to her knees beside him, pressing her shawl to the wound, her hands coming away slick and trembling. By now, the platform was a tableau of horror. 15 people had been stabbed in those frantic seconds. Slashes to arms, throats, torsos, while 3 more bore injuries from the crush. A twisted ankle here, a head bumped on a bench there. The young mother, whose name was Sofia Ramirez, 34, from Spain on a work exchange, had collapsed against a timetable board, her arm a ruined sleeve of crimson. She rocked the stroller with her good hand, cooing nonsense to her toddler, who mercifully slept through the nightmare. "Show me more, it's okay," she gasped, though tears carved tracks through the grime on her cheeks. The salaryman, Jürgen Klein, 41, crawled toward the platform edge, his pant leg a sodden flag of surrender, phone buzzing ignored in his pocket with calls from his wife, wondering why he was late. Lena couldn't move. Her legs were lead, rooted by terror that whispered run. But where? She watched as Anna paused, chest heaving, the knife dripping rhythmically onto the tiles. Plink, plink, like a faucet left on. The woman's eyes darted, pupils blown wide, scanning for the next target. No rage twisted her features, no triumphant snarl. Just emptiness, a void that chilled Lena deeper than any scream. This wasn't anger. It was oblivion given form. In that frozen beat, a transit cop, Officer Marlene Fuchs, 29, on her 3rd shift of the day, burst from the service door at the platform's end, baton drawn, radio crackling with frantic dispatch. Verdächtig Frau MIT Messer, Platform 9. Sofort. Marlene had been grabbing a coffee in the break room when the alerts hit. Multiple stabbings, active assailant, evacuate sectors. Her training kicked in like muscle memory. Assess, contain, neutralize. But seeing it, the blood-smeared tiles, the moaning wounded, the hooded figure with the glinting blade, nearly buckled her knees. "Waff runter, Polizei," she shouted, voice steady despite the quake in her gut. Anna turned, slow as a predator sizing up prey, and Marlene advanced, baton raised, praying her backup was seconds away. Carl, blood streaming down his arm to puddle at his boots, saw the opening. Ignoring the fire in his veins, he lunged from the side, tackling Anna at the waist. They hit the ground hard, a tangle of limbs and fury. The knife skittered free, clanging against the rails just as an incoming train's brakes hissed in warning. Marlene pounced, knee driving into Anna's back, cuffs snapping onto wrists that went limp without a fight. "Sicher?" Marlene radioed, breathless, as more officers swarmed like blue tide. Anna lay there, face pressed to the cold floor, muttering fragments. "They see me." always watching. Let me go. No resistance, just surrender to the void that had spat her out. The aftermath uncoiled in slow motion. Paramedics flooded the platform, their vests stark yellow against the red chaos. Sophia was stretchered away first, her toddler pried gently from the stroller and bundled in a foil blanket, wailing now that the spell broke. Heinrich Lang flatlined en route to the ER, his wife's hand clasped in his until the monitors flatlined too, though official counts would tally no deaths. Lena finally moved when a medic tapped her shoulder, shining a light in her eyes. Fräulein? Sind Sie verletzt? She shook her head, numb, retrieving her cracked phone like a talisman. The screen showed a frozen cat video, absurdly cheerful. She texted Max. Train delayed. Bad stuff here. Coming home soon. No details. How do you text terror? Carl refused a gurney, waving off the paramedics with his good arm. Save it for the ones who need it, he grunted, binding his wound with his own belt before the pros could argue. At the hospital later, as stitches pulled tight, he'd replay the tackle in his mind, wondering if he'd traded his foreman grip for a ghost story to tell the grandkids. Word spread like digital fire. By 7 p.m., #Hamburg stabbing trended on X. Raw footage from bystanders' phones grainy and viral. The knife's arc, the crowd surge, Anna's hooded silhouette crumpling under the cop's knee. But with the shares came the poison. Fake images, doctored to show a migrant man in keffiyeh instead of a local woman in a hoodie, fueling right-wing bile that painted the attack as imported chaos. Forums lit up with conspiracy. ISIS links, government cover-ups, the usual rot.